My first impression of Rachel was that she was definitely a different person.
She was the most free-spirited person I've ever met.
She was just so loud and obnoxious.
Was very outgoing, not afraid to be herself. She never tried to be anybody other than Rachel.
Talked to everyone, was nice to everyone, always joking around.
Could always take a joke, and she could always give a good joke too, and she loved to make people laugh.
She was so spirited, so light and happy all the time. She was always laughing about something.
If you came up with something funny, it was never dying. It was gonna be funny forever.
Oh, just so exciting and rambunctious, and always wanted to do something new.
The person you wanted to be friends with, just because you want to do anything at all, she's down for it. It doesn't matter what it is, she's going for it. Oh, you think that's cool? So do I. You're interested in it? Okay, then now I'm kind of interested in it. That was just how she was.
Never wanted to be tied down by anything. She's always wanted to do what she wanted to do, in that moment.
You could tell her to do something and it would just make her want to do the opposite.
She was very confident and very, very proud of who she was, and that spread to other people. She was proud of other people for being themselves. She was just the type of person that you could never really not be happy around. I think Rachel started experimenting with drugs because I want to say it was for just recreational usage.
I couldn't tell you where she started or how she started, but if I had to give my best guess, it would be more experimenting. And
Rachel was so diverse. She had such a diverse group of friends, and I feel maybe some of the people she hung out with got her into that.
She was obviously hanging out with a bunch of different people that I knew weren't not good people, but just were into some bad things. And I would tell her my concerns about her hanging with them, because I was you might start to do what they're doing.
probably never saw them overdose, probably never saw them my friends are doing it, nothing bad's really happening to them, so I can just keep going too. The same thing will happen for me.
They were tell her that it was cool, or they would tell her the effects that they got from it. And at the time, to her it sounded oh yeah, if you can feel that way from this, then why not? You can kind of just escape some of the bad stuff going on in your life, or the tough situations.
I feel if she didn't want to do it, she wouldn't have. I just think maybe she felt invincible. All these people that she liked so much were doing it, why couldn't she?
She knew what was good and bad for her, but it's something that I think was so strong and around her, and the influence that she was just one time is fine.
It's high school. A lot of people experiment, so you think everyone can handle it, and you only think that until someone can't.
In regards to harder things, I had no idea. I didn't know she was doing it.
I didn't know at all about her getting into hard drugs or anything like that.
I never knew the extent or how often or what types of drugs she was using. She never told me what she had done or what it was, it physically was, but she said, I've stopped anything I've done in the past, and I was oh good, if you need help, you can always call me.
We weren't the friends that she would do drugs with,
Oh yeah.
I don't even know who she would do them with, but she knew she didn't want us around them. So it was almost she didn't want to come around us because she didn't want that side of her around us, and she didn't want us getting involved.
Right.
Honestly, I feel Rachel was more the type of person who not hid everything, but always put a smile on her face no matter what was happening in her life. And I feel that's what she gave all of her friends.
There was definitely changes in the way she behaved, and kind of the way that she not treated her friends, but acted around them.
We didn't talk as much as we used to. She was more hidden, independent, and didn't really want to talk to anyone.
She definitely didn't act herself. She wasn't as
like bubbly and happy and smiley as she used to be. You could tell something was going on.
I think I did talk to her. Well, I know I did talk to her about her using because I was concerned, and she did play it off like she was completely fine, and she just said like it was occasional weed every like once in a while. And you know, I always think back like why didn't I keep pressing that issue, and why didn't I like keep making her like admit that it was a bigger problem.
I never thought that one of my close friends would be dealing with such a struggle in their life that not many people really knew about.
I got a phone call from one of my friends from grade school.
And I got a call from one of my best friends.
I almost like didn't pick up too because I was like, oh, like I'll just talk to her later. I'm with friends now.
And I remember thinking like, this is weird. Like, she doesn't really call me unless there's like something important.
People text me, like my friends that like knew her, and they were like, texting me saying, "Is Rachel okay? Where is she? Like, is she all right? Is she sick? What's going on with Rachel?" And so I called her, and she didn't answer. And I called her again, she didn't answer. And I would text her, and I was like, okay, what is going on? Like, is she like sleeping? Like, is she just sick? And then I had my friend call me, and she was like, where are you? And I was like, I'm at home. She just rushed over here and like walks in like with this big like car full of everybody, and they're just like, Rachel, like, she passed away.
Yeah, she finally like said Rachel died, and I don't know, my heart kind of just dropped then.
She just like kept saying she overdosed and died, and I just remember she hung up the phone because she was just crying so hard she couldn't talk. She hung up the phone, and I, like, right when I hung up the phone, like, it hit me, and I remember I was on my kitchen floor, I just crashed.
I kind of just locked myself in my friend's room and was kind of on the floor, like not able to breathe or talk.
I felt like I was in a room, and like I was like this big tall person, like huge, and then all of a sudden when I heard that, I just shrunk to like a mouse. I called Mrs. DeMaio immediately, and she just kept sobbing and apologizing and just kept saying, I'm so sorry, Megan, I'm so sorry you lost your best friend, I'm so sorry. I almost saved her. She died in my arms last night. She's like, I tried so hard to bring her back, I almost had her. And to have Rachel's mom like apologize to me like she just lost her daughter, and that was just so powerful. And I just remember her sobbing on the phone, and just her voice, she was just so distraught, and it was just, that's just a phone call I'll never forget.
Her mom got up in the middle of the night, and the bathroom light was on, which is right across from Rachel's room, and Rachel's light was on in her room, and she opened the door, and Rachel was in the middle of an overdose.
And her mom went in and was trying to resuscitate her, like called the ambulance, but by the time they got there, like the Narcan didn't work, and it was too late.
It was laced with carfentanil, which is like super, like it's like fentanyl but times like, I don't know, it's just like an elephant tranquilizer, and so it like basically left her like no chance of surviving it. Her life was taken in one moment because of one bad batch, and you know, drugs have that power.
The only other like funeral I actually remember was my grandma's, who was when I was in middle school, and like me and my grandma were like really close, so like it was hard, but Rachel's was almost like unbearable to be at.
The minute I walked in, Mrs. DeMaio came up to me and she was like, we got a spot for you guys, like all of her closest friends in the front row. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening, like we're sitting in the front row of our best friend's funeral.
The rows are full completely, and everyone is just like drained in disbelief.
You could have heard a pin drop in there, and like the only thing you could hear was people crying.
Just really difficult to say goodbye so permanently to someone that was such a big part of my life for so long, and seeing so many other people so upset and so distraught was really hard because there was nothing that anybody could do.
All I did was think about Rachel and how
her casket is right in front of me and she's in there and she should be sitting right next to me.
You kept thinking in your head on repeat, she was so young, she had so much life left to live, like why did this happen to her, like out of all people?
It was just very hard to see her, being lowered into the ground, like her casket lowered into the ground, and being able, to say goodbye was comforting, but also it was just too soon.
It was just crazy to think about all the things that she didn't get to do or could have done when she was older, and like all the fun times we could have had.
You want those milestones, you want those moments with your best friends, you want to attend your class reunions, and you want to meet new people and explore new places and experience new cultures, and Rachel unfortunately won't be able to do any of that.
The last time I saw her was at a football game. She seemed like Rachel. She seemed like really fine and happy to see us all and excited to hang out soon.
She was really happy. She was outgoing, funny, just like she always was.
I remember her telling us over and over how happy she mentioned to us and made a big deal about how happy she was with her life right now.
She kept saying that she was so happy with life, that she was healthy.
I just remember giving her the biggest hug and us walking away, and I would have never thought that would be the last time that I would ever see her.
It's still very hard now that time's passed. You'll just see little things, or you'll hear a certain song, or just even certain smells or something will just remind you of Rachel, or just certain times and all the memories. I mean, it's obviously still really hard.
There's not a day that goes by. It's usually a couple hours, and I'll see something, I'll think of her.
It took me so long to finally stop crying every day, and I went to counseling, I did everything, and I still think about her, and it's just still such a shock to me.
When I just think about how bad it hurts and how much I want to go back and change how I was with her, that's what hurts. It's just guilt.
Never once did I think that would ever happen to one of my friends. It's always something you hear on the news and stuff like that of young kids, but I never once thought it would happen to someone I knew, let alone a close friend.
Now when I hear things about drugs in the news, it's it sticks in my head more because Rachel's part of that statistic now, and it's just that I'm more self-aware of what I want to do with my life and how not to go down the wrong path.
Basically, with Rachel's story, you should see that drugs can happen, an addiction can happen to anyone. She was not the person that would come to mind whenever I would think of drug problems.
If I knew that she was going down this really bad road, I would have helped her, but really none of us knew.
I feel people need to realize it's more of a disease and and something someone's able to control.
And even if you're not addicted and you do think, oh, this is just my first time, my second time, my third time, whatever it is, you have no idea what's in those drugs. You have no idea where you're getting these from. You have no idea who's making them. You have no idea what they're laced with. You don't know what's going to be put in it unless you do it and make it yourself.
People think it can't happen to them, but it just I'm here to say that it can. I'm 17 years old and I had to watch my best friend be buried. And I'm just normal girl from Ohio. You wouldn't think that would happen.
Doing drugs doesn't just affect you, it affects every single person around you. It affects your family, it affects your friends in ways that you don't even understand.
Not only will it change you and it'll make you distance from the people that mean the most from you, and it'll make them all concerned for you, but you'll get into harder things as time goes on. As much as you don't want to, if you can't control it, it's gonna control you.
People don't realize how strong these drugs are getting and how big of an issue it is.
I think the biggest thing, if you want to help people that you might know that are doing drugs, is connect with them, get in touch with them, talk to them, hear their story, help them out. But if you're one of those people that are doing the drugs, it's go find help.
like, don't be alone.
There's always other people, and there's always someone else out there who's going through what you're going through. People do want to help you, and there are people out there who will.
A lot of people's mindset is that the drug problem is bigger than all of us, and there's not much we can do because they're already gone. But I feel that's the mindset we need to get rid of, and I feel like hope's like a big thing.